Hey there, and welcome to our first episode of Hiking with John. Our first episode was done with Morgan, a really sweet young gal, and she's one of the first people that I reached out to and that accepted the challenge to going out and hiking with us. And I just really think that this video came out exactly like I was hoping it was going to come out. She answered the questions perfectly. She had some great stories, and I just think it was awesome. What did you think, Tristan?
I thought it was great, exactly what I wanted, like you said, and I'm just thankful that we got to learn some new stories as well as share some new stories with everybody out there.
Yeah, so we hope you really enjoyed this video, and we look forward to sharing more with you as we go into the future. So enjoy. All right, this morning we got Morgan with us on our hike. We're hiking Rattlesnake. We also got Tristan behind us here, and so we're going to talk a little bit about Seth today and about Morgan, what she's got going on, and just have some conversations. So. First off, I thank you for getting up this morning and coming out with us.
Of course.
Because I know you got a lot going on because you're getting ready to take a big trip, I guess. So what do you got going on over the next couple of years, really?
Well, for my church, I applied to go on a mission, and for girls, it's 1.5 years, and boys, for it's 2 years that you voluntarily go and serve and teach and preach the gospel, and they choose where you go. Everybody was asking me, where are you going to go? And I said, I don't know. And I opened it, and I had friends in the Philippines and Tahiti, and I got sent to Boise, Idaho.
Boise, Idaho, wow!
Yeah, and I love Idaho. It was just not what I was expecting, so I'm really excited. I leave, in like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Down in Mexico last year, I have to give you a hard time. Do you know that you're channeling Seth right now?
I'm channeling Seth.
Do you know why? Do you
What?
see this water bottle in your hand? That drives me crazy. And do you know what?
Seth does it?
Seth and Tristan would do it all the time. They'd be in the back seat of the
No way.
truck, and we'd go down the road, and they knew that
And you
it's
said-
like fingernails on a chalkboard to me. And they'd get the water bottles, and they'd crinkle them like that. And it just, you guys stop doing that!
I just had to make you think of him.
You're making me think of Seth right now,
That's
for
so
sure.
funny.
All right, so you knew Seth a little bit and went to school with him. So, when you first met Seth, what were some of your first impressions about him?
My first impressions, I was really impressed, actually. He was super nice, and he was super polite, and I got, sat next to him, and he introduced himself. He was like, hi, my name is Seth. I was like, hey, can you help me on this question? And he was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like so willing to help me all the time. And not everyone is going to be willing to help you in an algebra class when they're brand new to their school. Everyone would always be snickering and making jokes because that's high school. And Seth never did that. He always spoke nice about people, and I was like, who is this kid? So I would ask him, I was like, where are you from? He's like, well, I didn't transfer from a school. I was homeschooled. But now I'm starting here, and he's like, and I'm going to play baseball. And I was like, well, it's nice to meet you because you're really nice.
Was he a quiet kid in school? Because he wasn't quiet at home, just so you know.
No, he wasn't too quiet. He didn't start conversation just to start it, because most of it was just, banter. But he would talk to everyone.
Yeah.
He wasn't afraid to talk to anyone.
Yeah.
The teacher could put him anywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, but let me sit by him because I need help with my math.
Yeah.
And Seth is nice to me, so I liked to sit next to Seth. And he
know.
laughed at my jokes. So I was like, I'll hang out with you. You think my jokes are funny.
That respectful and sweet conversation. All right, so you guys sound like you had a lot of laughs and conversation. Well, did you have any deep conversations when you met Seth? Anything that was maybe a little bit more meaningful to life?
We did.
Really?
We did, for sure. We had this conversation, and it was probably around Christmas time. Christmas time, your teachers they make you watch movies for like a week.
Yeah.
We had nothing to do, and because I sat right next to him, I had said something about I miss putting the Christ in Christmas. And he was like, oh. He's like, do you believe in God? He's like, do you go to church? Do you have a faith? And I was like, I do. I was like, I go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he's like, oh, that's so awesome. He's like, I believe in God too. And he was telling me about the church he went to. He's like, you have a lot of the same beliefs that I do. And I feel so much more comfortable getting to talk to you all the time. And I was like, wow. I I was like, I really do think that you have the light of Christ in you. And he said, you know what? He's like, I think you are probably a great example to people because you've been a great example to me. And I was like, Seth, what? I was like, you're an example to me and you're younger than me.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, you know what, you just keep doing what you're doing. And he's like, I love that you go to church because he's like, I know you talk about it here at school.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I try to do that more. And he's like, I try to talk about my belief in God because it's hard here in high school.
Yep.
I was like, well, you don't make it look hard. You don't make it look hard at all, Seth. I remember that because I don't get to have that conversation with people every day.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. And so it was just so nice. And we had a lot of other conversations too. You know, I'd ask like, you know, little things that he believed in and like, do you believe this?
Mm-hmm.
I think even one time he invited me to go to church with him.
Oh.
And I'm glad that we got to have that conversation and knowing that he believes that and
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good thing too because sometimes different religions see their differences so much than their similarities, you know.
Yeah. And he didn't focus on that at all. And it was so sweet to just talk about like, hey, like, what do you believe? And he would list off all these little things that he learned when he was little and the basics of his belief. And it was a really sweet conversation.
Yeah. To have that respectful and sweet conversation.
Yes.
It's respectful and still, you know, maybe be friends, even though you might not see eye to eye on every single thing, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a really great conversation.
Yeah.
It was a unique one because he definitely poured his heart out. And I was like, oh, and we're sitting there watching like The Grinch.
Yeah.
He could definitely bring that spirit to whatever conversation he wanted because he just had that light about him. And
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome.
You're welcome. Can you help me on this question?
So, you know, of course, you knew him right there in that fall, and then the next fall is actually when he got sick, I think. And so you probably hadn't seen him for a little while, and then I know that we talked about you met him at a football game and came down, and gave him a big hug and whatnot. But how did you find out about his passing, and then how did you deal with that and that part of the story?
Actually, it was either a Friday or a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday. And I was getting ready for dance, and I had a friend doing my makeup, and I saw it, and because I followed you guys just to see how Seth was doing.
Sure, yeah.
And I saw the post that Seth had passed, and I started crying. I sat down on my steps, and my grandma said, "What is wrong?" And I'd ruined my makeup.
Oh, no.
I wiped it all off, and I started bawling because I had been meaning to go see Seth again. I kept thinking, like, man, I haven't done it yet. And because my excuses was that I was so busy.
Yeah.
And I started crying on the steps. And, like, by that time, I had my dress on. And I'm sitting there crying, and my other friend came in. They were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not okay." And I thought about it the whole day.
So, well, he was a good kid. Was there anything you didn't like about the kid? Did he ever tease you too much? Or?
I really did. He did. He was good to joke with. But the only thing that I got jealous of was that he was so good at his schoolwork.
Yeah.
He was telling me about all the classes he was taking, and I was like, "And you're a freshman, right?" And he was like, "Well, yeah." And he made it look so easy.
Yeah.
I was failing tests.
Yeah.
And like didn't get it at all. And he was like, "Wow, I love this school." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You love high school?" And he just loved everything about it. And he was like, "Wow, this person's really nice." And I was like, "How long have you known them?" He's like, "Well, I just met them this year." And I was like, "Well, you won't like them that long, but that's okay." And he was just he loved everything. And he loved math.
Yeah.
And I was like, "You love math?"
Yeah.
I failed 3 classes. And I was a sophomore.
Hey, Tristan, what do you think about math?
Math, I don't like
The
math.
worst. Yeah, I was like, Seth is like overall so great, but I can't stand how good he is at his math.
Well, I think that's one of the lessons you learn through life is that, we all have strengths, and
He
you
had
can't.
a big strength in math.
Yeah, his big strength was math. He just came naturally to him, and but Tristan's strength is music, and creativity, and I'm sure you've got strengths that I don't know about. We all have those strengths, and comparing ourselves to other people is, not really good to do because you know we all have our own strengths, and those strengths are.
I know, and he was so humble about it.
Yeah.
So humble.
Yeah.
It was just like, you couldn't even not like him. So I can't even say that there wasn't something that I didn't like. I was just jealous that he was so good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so Morgan and I finally made it to the top of Rattlesnake this morning.
Beautiful.
Tristan's doing a little rock climbing down below us here, so
He'll pop up.
he'll pop up in a little bit, won't he? So
Like, hey.
yeah. So I know one of the questions I had for you is, how did you first meet Seth?
I met Seth in I think it was his freshman year, because I had asked him, where are you from? I've never seen you before. And
Yeah.
he said he was homeschooled, and this was his first year. It was his first year at school, and I met him in my algebra class. That it was my second time taking, because I'm awful at math. And he was a freshman taking algebra, and I was like, how did you make it in this class? He's like, well, I don't know, I'm pretty good at math. And he was like one of the only freshmen in that class, and so I got sat next to him because I talked to too many boys. And my teacher said, you need help and you're failing this class, so I can't help you all the time, so maybe Seth can help you. That's how I met Seth, because he was a math genius and I was terrible, and our teacher paired us together and was like, focus.
I think that's why he ended up having to go to school. I think, Vicky was homeschooling him, and Seth wasn't really smart at math, and so he was getting ahead of what that she could teach him. And Vicky and Seth, they like to debate and argue at times. So and they both like to be kind of right. And so Seth was getting to a point where he was, like frustrating his mother. I think. So I think
he was really good. It was like he would even like ask the teacher to be like, wait, I got this wrong, but I'm pretty sure I did it right. And then the whole class would be like, Seth got it wrong. Teacher, you probably did it wrong. And so we'd go over it, and he'd like go over my homework, and I was like, gosh, how are you so good?
Yeah, sometimes I don't think he even knew how he got to the answer, but he always got the answer.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Always.
Do you have any other good stories that maybe we wouldn't know? Any funny stories?
This is a super sweet moment that I always think of, because he was just so nice. It blew my mind, because like everyone as a freshman is very mischievous and they think they're super cool. And Seth was just so kind, and so I was like, I was failing the class, obviously. That's why I was sitting next to him, because he was a genius. And I got my test back, and he had been helping me all week, probably for a couple weeks, through this whole section of math. And I was getting really frustrated, and he would like go back. So he was teaching me pretty thoroughly on the subject, let alone doing his own work. And he was like, okay, you're gonna do really good on this test. Like, I know it. You passed it, because I needed D's to pass the class, and I didn't even get a D. I got the test back, and I think he got an A, and I was like, okay, if he did it right, then he's teaching me right. And I get the test back, and it's an F, and I slapped it down on the desk, and I looked at him, and his face, he was like, it's okay, I will help you. And I was like, and I laid back in my chair, and I was like, Seth, I'm doomed, I don't know what to do. And he just looks at me, and he's like, Morgan, you're trying really hard, and Miss Shamil knows that. And that's all you gotta do. Is like, you just gotta keep trying, because you're putting in the work. And I was like, and I'm getting an F. And he was just like, it's okay. Like, I'm right here to help you. And then the next week we got separated, and I was like, oh no! And then she put us back together, because I was like, I need his help. I need his help. I'm not gonna pass. But it was just like, I always remember that, because he was so sweet. He was just like, Morgan, it's okay. Like, I'll help you. Like,
he was a pretty good kid about that. So
he was so nice.
What? How did you find out that he was sick?
We were at a football game, and I was up in the stands, and I kept hearing about the fundraisers, and one of the kids from our school had cancer, was sick, and it was all over, but I wasn't putting together that was Seth at all, because I didn't see him in class. I think I was up in the stands, and it's like the middle of the football game, and we have all our spirit, we're all cheering, and I'm with all my friends, and I see you guys and Tristan pushing Seth in a wheelchair, and people are like gathering around him saying hi. And I was like, why is Seth in a wheelchair? And I knew he was playing baseball, so in my head, I thought he had like broken his foot or something.
Gotcha.
And I'm watching you guys push him, and you guys are getting closer, and I see that his face looks different. And I was like, oh no, that's who the fundraisers are for. And it broke my heart. I was up in the stands, and I was like, I was so sad. And so my friends were like, what's wrong? And they didn't know who Seth was. And I was like, the fundraisers are for him. That's for Seth.
Yeah.
And so I ran down and I was like, guys, I'll be right back. And I like gave them all my spirit wear and I like took it off and I was like, Seth, how are you? And I was like, I haven't seen you so long. He just like greets me with 3 smiles. He's like, hey, how are you? I was like, I haven't seen you since math class.
Yeah.
And he's just good. And he told me about like the baseball game that he went to. And he's like, we've been doing a lot of cool stuff and spending time with my family. I was like, well, I'm glad that you're happy.
Yeah.
And like, and it just broke my heart. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, you got to go back. I'll let you spend time with your family. I was like, have fun at the game. And
Yeah.
but I always remember that because that was like one of the couple times that I saw him before.
Yeah.
You know, I never saw him again before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it happened so quick. You know, he got sick and then he passed away just 7 months later. So it was, of course, for us, it seemed like forever. I mean, just, you know, it was such a hard time, but it happened so quickly at the same time. But I don't think a lot of folks realized, you know, that it was him, and then when they did realize it was him, you know, you guys think you got more time, you know. So yeah, so well, what do you say we head back down the trail and work our way back down before we get too cold up here? Are you ready for some bonus questions?
Ready for the bonus question.
All right. So if you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Probably telepathy
Till why?
because I am lazy and I would like to be able to read things with my mind and know like what people are thinking because I like to know people. I like to like have deep conversations and if I could just read their mind it would be so much quicker.
There you go.
If I could move things with my mind too, that'd be pretty convenient.
That'd be cool. I like that
Instead
one too.
of hiking this mountain, I just float
You
right
float
up.
to the top. Hey Morgan, we really want to thank you for going on this hike with us. It just was such a special occasion hearing your stories and your memories about Seth. So we really appreciate that. Trisha, you got any words to finish up with?
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Morgan, for hiking with us. And make sure if you want to hear some more stories, to subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more stories. And if you got some stories and memories about Seth and you're a young person, we'd love to hear those as well. So text us, email us, direct message us, whatever it needs to do, and we'll hook up and see if we can't get you on the channel as well. So enjoy and have a great day. Take care.